top 7 poorest countries in Asia in 2023. Number 7. Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan is a landlocked country in Central Asia that faces economic challenges due to its dependence on remittances, gold production, and foreign aid. There are high levels of poverty in this country, with about 33% of people living below the poverty line and 22% suffering from food insecurity. According to the World Bank, Kyrgyzstan's GDP per capita was $1,607 in 2022, which is below the average of $2,189 for lower middle-income countries. 3 revolutions in a row since 2005, COVID-19, and the remittances crisis have caused the country's economy to deteriorate drastically. Number 6. Nepal. According to the UN, about 40% of Nepalese live in poverty, and the per capita GDP of the country is only $1,155. Massive earthquake struck Nepal in early 2015, which damaged infrastructure and set back economic development. More than 3 million people were also displaced in this earthquake. As a result, the economy of the country has further collapsed, and poverty has increased. Poverty has also affected the quality of education in the country, as schools lack adequate infrastructure, teachers, and resources. About 23% of Nepalese have no education at all, and another 22% have only completed primary education. Number 5. Syria. Syria is a country that has been suffering from a devastating civil war for more than a decade. Even extremists are creating violence and instability in the country, which has disrupted the normal functioning of society and institutions. The International Committee of the Red Cross estimates that about 90% of Syrians live below the poverty line, and their income is less than $1 a day. Also, the country's actual unemployment rate is estimated to be over 30%. More than 9.3 million people in the country are living with food insecurity, and 90% lack adequate health care. The country faces multiple risks and challenges that could further worsen its situation. Number 4. Tajikistan. Tajikistan is a country in Central Asia that faces many economic challenges. According to the World Bank, Tajikistan has a GDP per capita of only $810, and about 29% of the population lives below the poverty line. The country has a history of political instability, civil war, and regional conflicts that have disrupted its economic and social development. The country's poverty is associated with higher rates of malnutrition, infectious diseases, maternal and child mortality, and a lower life expectancy. According to the World Bank, 31 out of 1,000 babies born in Tajikistan die before their 5th birthday. Number 3. Yemen. According to the United Nations Development Programme, 55% of population lives below the poverty line, and 20% lives in extreme poverty. Also, half of the population lives on less than $2 per day. In addition, since 2014, the country's poverty rate has skyrocketed as a result of the country's growing war. Due to the war, more than 11 million people have also become impoverished, and 4 million are internally displaced. However, the biggest impact of poverty in the country is on children. UNICEF reports that 2.3 million children in Yemen are acutely malnourished, and 400,000 are at risk of death. Number 2. North Korea. The country's GDP per capita is just over $900, and nearly 60% of the country's population is mired in poverty. One of the reasons for the country's poverty is its isolation from the international community. Also, the country has one of the most repressive governments in the world that regularly abuses human rights. In addition, food shortages, a harsh climate, and rugged land exacerbated the country's poverty. According to the World Bank, about 81% of North Korea's land is uncultivated. And according to the UN, 10 million people in the country do not have enough food. Number 1. Afghanistan. Afghanistan is the poorest country in Asia, with a GDP per capita of only $508. According to the UNDP, about 85% of the population lives below the poverty line. The country's economy has been severely damaged by prolonged conflicts, civil wars, and political instability since the 1970s. Also, the Taliban's rise to power has caused a humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, as millions of people are suffering from hunger, poverty, and violence. According to the World Food Programme, about 23 million people in Afghanistan face a food insecurity crisis.